We're Not Wizards, Tales from the Blog, Board Game Review, Chronicles of Crime from Lucky Duck Games. London, City of Londoners, city of buildings that belong in a city so big they named it once, because naming a city twice is something only the crassest of people do. I joined the police because I wanted to make my mark. I wanted to make a difference to the lives of the people I walk past on a day-to-day basis. I wanted to right wrongs and be dependable, create order out of chaos. I also wanted to learn how to play guitar, but that is another story. All in all, I wanted to uphold the law and protect those who needed protecting and make life difficult for those who didn't. I also wanted to protect people from spoilers. So the pictures you will see in the review if you visit the blog will be mostly from the tutorial included in the game and nothing more. And so when the dark underbelly of the city looks up at me, and I'll be staring right back at it, mobile phone in hand and QR code at the ready to send it back to where it came from. It's a strange opening to review, but then Chronicles of Crime is a strange hybrid of a game, a mixture of analogue and digital, trying to take the best of both worlds and hopefully producing an alloy of fun as an end result. It's an uphill task for Lucky Duck Games, as the expected and observed reaction among experienced gamers is to sometimes cry with Luddite levels of derision and throw the shoes at any box in disgust that dares bring the digital. Look, we don't mind you porting board games over to mobile formats so we can sit and contemplate our turn during our quietest moments, but we'll be damned if we're going to actively want to have tech at the table. Maybe that's an extreme take on the situation, but I know of those who will like to keep their digital dealings separate from their cardboard loves. Let's talk surprises to begin with. Off the bat, I don't think I've been more confused and potentially disappointed when I opened the box for Chronicles, as there's a large amount of box for a small amount of content. At first I thought I was entering the land of overproduced and oversized, but on further investigation it's clear that this is a base game designed to house other expansions. Lucky Duck expect you to embrace your role as a detective so much that, like Time Stories, you'll be compelled to collect all of the available scenarios once you've devoured what's on the table in front of you. Secondly, instead of a 25-page rulebook, Lucky Duck Games have enclosed a simple pamphlet which pushes you into using the much promoted and lauded mobile app as soon as you can. It's almost as if they want you to get it over with, put your mind at rest, and thankfully it works a treat in having you interact with it from very early doors. Chronicles is all about solving crimes as you start your new detective career in London. You do this by visiting locations, speaking to people of interest, and gathering clues and information to help you construct a case. Once you're satisfied you've got enough evidence, then you return to your base of operations at Scotland Yard and present it to your superior, and they will score you based on how much you've managed to ascertain. Get it wrong, you'll be potentially arresting the wrong person and letting a killer get away. Get it right, and there's an enormous sense of satisfaction of putting together the clues, as there are often several layers to an investigation as you make your way through the miniature story. Chronicles is closer to a role-playing game than a normal board game for me, where there's obviously a beginning, middle and an end to it all, but it's how you get to those points is completely controlled by yourself. What Lucky Duck has done is to provide you with a framework for investigation and discussion, with more information being drip-fed to you as you travel to various locations within London, investigate crime scenes and talk to those connected. You aren't particularly forced down a path, as shepherded, with enough rope given to succeed or hang yourself as you go. It's all achieved by scanning QR codes in each of the cards that you interact with. If you want to speak to a suspect, scan the card. Need some expert help? Scan the card for the doctor or criminologist. Want to ask somebody about some evidence you found? Scan the person and then scan the object to see what they think. It'll either lead you onto another path of investigation or confirm you're heading to a dead end. You start to feel like you're gathering clues and working out connections, and it manages to draw you in and bring you out your analytical side without pushing it in your face. The artwork is striking and very functional, to the point where those with some imagination will be able to picture how the characters are likely to act when faced with being questioned by the law. You'll be faced with a myriad of headshots without explanation. You'll need to use your skills to learn their stories. Visit the crime scene. You get to view it in a hybrid 3D environment, picking out items that need investigated further and allocating cards that represent them. For example, seeing blood on the floor in the scene might prompt you to pick up the blood and organs card so you can ask some questions about it later. It's up to you what you pick out, and not every item will lead real results. Your scouting time is limited, and so sometimes it's better for someone to look at the scene and call out what they see, while others go through the deck of items that will decide what will match. Sometimes you'll need to go back again to see if you've missed something out, and that can move the investigation forward. That will use up more time and can have a huge impact on how you're marked for your final score, as well as how the situation pans out. It's an additional mechanic designed to add tension to the proceedings, and in most cases it works, though sometimes you'll feel pressurised to maybe recheck items to confirm your theories, and in larger player groups it can sometimes inhibit everyone to get the chance to get their hands dirty with the app. It's finding that fine balance that will give you the best enjoyment. It's also finding a well-lit room as well. If there's one thing that caused the most frustration with Chronicles, it's the hit and miss in how the app will work in a slightly duller environment. I don't know if it was down to my phone, so I tried using the app on a tablet, and there were just too many times where the QR code could not be read unless the lights were blazing. It's an unfortunate issue as it can ruin the immersion and therefore the atmosphere you've built up. Of course, your mileage may vary, and I hope you enjoy hassle-free investigation. My only other frustration is that sometimes if you don't scan in the right place and the right item with the right person, you can sometimes hit a wall. You can end up having to go back through all of your old tracks, and that in turn can eat into your time like nobody's business while you try to find that vital piece of evidence. Fortunately, at the same time, it doesn't try to be too clever. There aren't usually the highly irritating twists and turns you would see in the latest must-see detective drama if you uncover the right evidence for the right person, and as long as you aren't jumping to conclusions, you're likely to catch the person you're looking for. You have to applaud Lucky Duck Games for bringing a game to the table that has accessibility to the hobby at its heart. Chronicles reminds me very much of the after-dinner murder mystery games that were fads for a while in the 90s. And with that in mind, it's the kind of game that you could bring to the table with those who want something different to do rather than sit around and chat politics and nonsense after dinner. Unlike a lot of analog and digital mergers, it doesn't require everyone who wants to play to have an app installed on their device. In fact, it can be taught straight out of the box with the need to look at the rulebook for some is very welcome indeed. There are already expansions available, and the app itself will allow for some new scenarios to be introduced later on using the existing characters in the box. It's not expensive either, so you'll feel like you've had your value for money very quickly. You've run through the game a few times. You can spend the change on buying some really bright light bulbs. We were provided with a copy by Lucky Duck Games. We're not paid for this review, and to date, Lucky Duck Games have not guested on the podcast. If you like what you've listened to, you can support the show by going to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/We're Not Wizards. It helps to pay for things, let's be honest. But thank you for listening. Remember, stay safe, roll sixes, make something awful. Until the next time, goodbye.